Hello, and welcome back to AdamBobrowConnect, the channel where you email me and we connect. Time for me to read an email. Hello, Adam. I live in Abilene, Texas, and I use Dignix 09C forehand and Dignix 05 backhand on a Dmitry Ovcharov ALC Interforce carbon blade. I believe it is not foreign to you that professional grade equipment is not cheap. I know you were sponsored by Andro, which is a top-notch brand, but I'm wondering about the sponsorship process. Basically, how do I get sponsored by a table tennis company? Thank you, Adam. Good question. A little update. I'm no longer in an agreement with Andro. Well, first of all, I think the short answer is make a clear case for why it would be in the company's best interest. Companies often say we're not hiring right now, but I can't think of any company in the world that would say, sorry, we're not hiring, to someone who could make it very clear that they could make a significant amount of income for the company and charge very little to do it. I don't know anyone who would turn that down. I think just like you, listening right now, if someone said to you, hey, whether it's your allowance or your income from a job, whatever it is, your bank account, someone said, I could make your bank account 10 times what it is right now. Hand it to you in cash, that's real cash, whatever it is, and it would only cost you very little, like 5% of that. If you felt confident that you weren't being scammed, if you believed this person and they could show you that they were serious, you'd say, of course, yeah, right away. The same can be said for any table tennis brand. So, I'm not the best table tennis player around, not even close. And for me to get sponsored, it took some time. In the beginning, brands are mostly used to just sponsoring professional athletes. But at a certain point, brands can see that, well, if you can bring positive attention to their brand, if you can help people know about their brand, if you can get people buying their brand, if it equals money for them, if it equals sales, that's a big deal. Sponsorship comes in all shapes and sizes too. I think for a lot of people, it's sort of a bragging rights thing. It's just fun to be able to say, I'm sponsored. You're sponsored? Wow, you must be pretty good then. Well, you never know. In my case, like, I'm a clear example of someone who's not a pro, but can be worth it for brands to sponsor because I can bring a lot of attention to their brand or a lot of exposure. So that's one thing. If you're an incredible player, you're a top-level player, they might be investing in your future, right? They might think, wow, this person writing this email right now has already won 2 major competitions in Texas and the United States, has a bright future, might make the Olympics. This will look really good for us to have an Olympic athlete. We're going to take our chances, and it depends what you're asking for in a sponsorship. A lot of brands, if you're playing regularly and you can put it out there, you can show your friends and show a lot of people how much you like the brand or that they're supporting you, remind people that that brand exists. Maybe they'll give you some free equipment, and maybe that's worth it for what you're doing. But it's always going to be a question of, is it worth it for what you're offering? So my thinking is, before approaching any brand to save them time and trouble, put down a proposal. Say your name, let them know your reach, so how many people see what you do, how many people you can reach, or yeah, how many different eyes you can get on their product, whether it's a social media following or view count on different things, or maybe you've participated on some YouTube channel or some local news, whatever it may be. Put together something so that they know that you're making waves, that you're turning heads and that you're getting attention for the sport, and that they stand to gain a lot of publicity and exposure because of you if you would wear or use their equipment. So I hope that's helpful. I think generally for brands that's true. For smaller brands that are new, they might be looking, maybe they can't afford a top 10 athlete, and maybe they're looking for locals. Maybe if it's a US made brand, since you're in the United States, you've got the same target demographic. You're basically appealing to the people that they want to advertise to. So it'd be like free advertisement for them. So a lot of different ways, but just think, how do I make it appealing to them? How do I make it a wonderful deal for this company? And yeah, I hope that's helpful. And if for some reason you can't get sponsored, you never know. Maybe you could even be a dealer for a brand and then have access to their equipment very cheaply, or maybe they'll even partially sponsor you because you're a dealer and they want you using their equipment so that people see it and then come to you to buy it. A lot of different ways to go about it. But either way, remember, if it's bragging rights, mixed feelings. feelings. I think some people, here's a short anecdote. A guy who's a much better table tennis player than me reached out to me once back in the day when I was sponsored by a different brand and said, hey, how do you think I could get sponsored? And I said, well, here's a question. Why do you want to get sponsored? He's like, free equipment. I said, okay, how much do you normally spend on equipment in a year? And I said, you get a blade how often? Once every 5 years? He's like, right. I said, so we don't even need to count the cost of a blade because a blade's like $100, so $20 a year. Okay. How about rubber? How many times a year do you change rubber? He's like, I don't know, maybe 4. And I was like, right. 4, so that's 8 sheets of rubber. And if a sheet of rubber, if you're getting super expensive rubber, you're talking $800 for a year in rubbers. And if you're using more middle ground professional rubber, maybe it's $50 a sheet. Now you're talking $400 a year. I said to him, I said, what are you doing for work? He said, well, I coach table tennis. I said, right. And what do you charge? Like $50 an hour? He said, that's right. And I said, okay, so maybe he makes $50 an hour. Maybe he charges a little more and has to pay the club for table time or something like that. But I said, okay, so you need $820 a year to basically get your equipment for free. How many more lessons is that? If you do one more lesson a month, and that's if he gets the most expensive rubber, right? If he does one more lesson a month, that's 12 more lessons, and if he's making $50, that's $600 for the year right there. So if he does 2 more lessons a month, $1,200, now not only is all his equipment free, but he's got an extra almost $400 to spend. I said, why don't you just coach a little bit more, and then you can buy whatever equipment you want. If one brand makes shoes that you love, one brand makes a blade that you love, another brand makes rubber that you love, you're free. And you don't have to do anything in addition. Just coach a little bit more, but you don't have to write blogs or make posts or feel like you're compromising your credibility by only speaking about one brand. So pros and cons, being sponsored can be fun for sure, but just be clear on why you're doing it, and I hope that some of the insight that I've offered you allows you to make a very compelling case for getting into the conversation quickly and helping a table tennis brand see why it would be in their interest to sponsor you. So yeah, hope that helps. Hope you get sponsored if that's what you really want. And either way, hope you can afford to continue pursuing your passion and playing lots of table tennis. If you have any questions, don't be shy. Hopefully I can help, whether they're about table tennis or anything else. You can send me a message at AdamBobrowConnect@gmail.com and hopefully we can connect. So, take care of yourself, surround yourself with loved ones, stay kind, and as always, keep on ponging. Peace.